welcome, and thank you for joining for another whiskey review. Today, we're going to take a look at the Laphroaig 10 Cask Strength Batch 15. Dustin. This one comes in at 56.5%. And if you know anything about Laphroaig 10 Cask Strength, that's on the lower end. Matter of fact, the only ones that I were lower or about this was Batch 4 and Batch 7, which had the red label on them. So, usually they're 58, high 58s, 59, sometimes even 60 here recently. So for it to be a little bit less, it's rare. Does that mean it's better? We'll get to it, Dustin. We will get to it.
Yeah, the last 12, we haven't done any 12 reviews together, Mike. We did bring in Batch 12 for the Warehouse 1. So if this one's a hitter, maybe we'll compare it to the Warehouse 1.
Yeah, or something like that. Yeah, I have quite a few of these 10 Cask Strengths. I don't always like to... I guess I should bring them more. They're just all fairly consistent, so I hate to say the same thing all the time. But this one's a little bit different, Dustin.
I don't buy them every year, Mike. The thing is, here in Ohio, we get great deals on them.
$52.99. Finally, after 8 years, when I went to the store to pick these up, the guy was like, yeah, we got them in, like, how many you want? I'm like, just bring a case, just bring 6. And he goes, 52. He's like, that's weird. The normal 10 is, $10 more. And the ABV is far less. Usually, cask strength whiskey is more expensive. So I'm like, yeah, go figure. Because I don't want anyone saying anything. Because it has been mispriced in Ohio since the beginning.
Yeah, I went into the store, Mike, so I went to go pick up one of these. And I looked at the labels, and there was no price on the cask strength. There also were no regular 10s, and they had the 10 there. I'm like, let me just make sure. So I go up there. Can you give me a price check on that? $52.99. I was like, all right, I'll take the one that's $13 less.
You gotta love mistakes. If they're liquor controlled, they don't have passion. When they don't have passion, mistakes are made. Dustin,
I don't let lawyers run anything.
Yeah, I am sure that this is not natural color, but it's a really nice color.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna be artificial, don't overdo it and make it pretty, I guess.
Yeah, it's like burnt caramel. All right, let's get to it, buddy. It's definitely not as pungent as some of the 10s have come off before, so it's definitely more approachable instantly on the nose.
It's rich, kind of caramelly, a lot of lime and salt, sweet. There's vanilla for sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean...
Vanilla for sure.
Big iodine note.
Big iodine note.
I'm not quite... It's not quite taking me to the dentist office as much as some of these have. It's just the iodine, but maybe not some of the other, like the burnt rubber and stuff like that. I'm not getting that. It's actually fairly clean.
I agree with you. There's a lot stripped back from this, from a dirty note, but it makes the iodine note, which isn't hospital, it's just straight iodine. Very, very prominent on the nose.
Agree, yeah.
Like almost shockingly prominent.
Starting to get me to want to start to sneeze, so you can tell the alcohol 56 ain't nothing.
I'm starting to get the feeling like someone must be cut. Somewhere someone's bleeding.
Why is it somebody needed all that toothpaste while somebody's bleeding out?
Yeah, exactly.
Really minty, actually, the more I dig into this one,
yeah, mint. You're right. That's a rare thing for Laphroaig, too.
Not the first time I've been with this one. I've got a bottle at home that has been open. I haven't had too much, but I definitely put a little dent in it. And Mike's cracked his, so he's tried it. So we're both coming in, and this is the most minty I remember it smelling.
Sweet mint. Sweet spearmint.
Almost like if you took spearmint gum, took 2 sticks of that, and then took 1/8 of a juicy fruit.
Yeah. I tell you what, nose-wise, it's one of the better nosing Laphroaig 10s that I can remember.
If you like iodine, if you don't like the iodine note too much, this is probably near the bottom.
Well, here's the thing. It is cleaned up. I'm not a huge fan of how strong the iodine note is, but it is cleaned up some, and it is a nice vanilla note on this one.
I liked there was more vanilla on the 12 that I had, and there was less iodine. Personal preference. I don't think, that doesn't really impact the score here. That's just a preference. But if you like the 12 a lot and maybe iodine something you're trying to avoid, this might be veering the wrong direction for you.
Stinging, iodine, cigarette ash, a little bit of mint. It is palatable. More, for only being a couple ABV less, 56.5, it's super palatable. Like when I'm thinking Laphroaig 10 Cask Strength, I'm getting myself ready. But you can tell this is all ex-bourbon cask. You get the vanillas, you get a nice little oak tannins, but little sharp citrus and really sharp with that iodine note. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, I'll kind of just piggyback. I agree with what you said. There'll be a little bit of burnt oak from like a barbecue, pizza kind of deal going on here. It is heavy on the spice. Yeah. I was saying like cayenne meets paprika or something like that.
Yeah, you're right. Spice.
I don't know. There's some kind of pretty good kick, a little chili powder or something.
Real spicy. You're right.
Yeah. So it's not alcohol. It's oak spice.
Oak spice, yep.
100%. But yeah, I mean, well put together. From a balancing standpoint, Mike, I'll let you go wherever you want to go here. I would say it's fair.
Well, for what it is. I mean, this is a 10-year-old cask. This is entry-level age, heavily peated Islay whiskey. When we say it's not very dirty, it's kind of it's kind of cleaned up. I mean,
within the context of this,
of what it is. Yeah, I mean, it's an absolute smoke bomb.
Yeah,
peat, medicinal. I mean, if you want to figure out if someone like Pete or you like Pete, you try this Laphroaig 10 cask strength, you'll find out real fast.
Wow, I just got the note of baseball gum cards. That sugar
with paper
and wax. Yeah,
in wax. Yeah. Garbage Pail Kids. Still have everyone ever made. It was before your time. I was 8. I was a vicious negotiator.
I know nothing about Garbage Pail Kids except they're still collectible today.
Someone sold their entire collection for $155,000 last year.
Must have been in great shape.
I'm sure.
I actually see there's some YouTube channels where they go around like searching for deals in garage sales. Mm-hmm. That's a very popular item like those guys look at.
Mm-hmm. Cards?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Anything Garbage Pail Kid related.
Oh, really? Yeah. It's shocking how much they were.
Water just kind of brought out more smoke for me.
Yeah,
overall.
But still a very, very approachable Laphroaig 10 cask strength. Like, if I was I mentioned before, figured out if you like, peated whiskey, try this one. But say you liked Laphroaig 10, and you say you were a little bit nervous about getting into the 10 cask strength, 15 would be a perfect batch to pick up and see if you can get into it. Because it is a commitment.
Something got shifted with this water. It's not, It's kind of bringing out this kind of earthy, funky, wet sea kind of thing going on that's really just not as palatable. It's brought back some of the smoke and spice. Yeah, just a little more water to really tease out what's going on here. Because something odd has kind of shifted here.
Spice is still here when you swallow. Up front, the water took down the iodine note. Took down the vanilla note, too, to some degree, which doesn't always happen. But it did leave a woody oakiness along with just pure smoke. It simplified the palate super hardcore. I feel like it took out the core of what I liked about the palate.
It's almost as if like I'm now picking up like an artificial element to the oak notes.
Almost something sweet and artificial.
Yeah, they've
sickly
done,
sweet.
Like they've done something to enhance like an oak stave or used a cheap oak.
Or they charred it or did something.
Yeah.
Something.
Finish is actually nice and long still. Good spice. I mean, overall, it's still enjoyable. Man, that dropped my opinion of this whiskey a little bit.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. Or let's be transparent here. Even if this was normally priced, we're talking like an $85 whiskey.
They're about 100 now.
Oh, are they different? Yeah. Well, point is this is still, a relatively entry-level cask strength whiskey.
Absolutely, it is entry-level Islay cask strength. Mind you, there's not a lot of alternatives.
No. Well, Octomore, Lagavulin.
I mean,
that's it.
So we're now talking about limited release Octomores and a Lagavulin that's now a limited release.
Yes, Dustin. That's what we're talking about. That's what the people here are used to dealing with. No one stumbled across my YouTube channel or our YouTube channel.
Well, we don't usually talk about entry level. Usually when you say the words entry level, you mean non-special releases.
Sure. Young Islay cask strength whiskey. We'll call it that. All right, Dustin.
I'm going to jump right into score, man.
Yeah, let's get to it, buddy.
And I'm going to give this an 84. If you twisted my arm, I'd say 84.5. But it's nice. Does all the stuff I like from a Laphroaig. Doesn't do anything well that Laphroaig does well. I wish there was a little more vanilla, or I wish they played more on that like wood smoke finish. And when water was added, I didn't start questioning where the wood came from. But overall, I don't have any complaints. I mean, it's really solid whiskey. I bought two.
Yeah, I was going back and forth between an 85 and an 86. I, too, do not like what water did to this.
Yeah.
So I will call it an 85, or maybe an 85 and a half. I still like these, but this isn't one of the more impressive.
No.
Laphroaig 10 cask strength. I skipped a batch 13 and 14.
Same here.
And
I don't know why I did either.
I really don't know why I did either. And I just saw, I was like, oh, well, lower ABV, let's see if I can get more, something more out of it or whatever. But keep in mind, you're still dealing with a very, very young whiskey from a distillery that has a ton of smoke.
Yeah.
I mean, those two things, it's not easy to derive a lot of character, a lot of nuance, a lot of complexity out of ex-bourbon, 10-year-old cask strength Probably Maker's Mark barrel Laphroaigs.
Yeah.
My guess. I don't know.
Well, we know they use that for Warehouse 1, so...
I think I've used it other times too. Maker's Mark is a big.
Oh, yeah, they're huge. I mean, they're a giant. I mean,
Galvini uses them.
Well, think about how big Maker's Mark is, and they don't put anything aside to age longer.
No, they're just turning and burning.
They firmly believe that their whiskey doesn't improve with age, so they don't age it.
I don't disagree.
I've never had an old one to compare. But anyway, Mike, I think, very solid whiskey just overall.
Yeah.
I would drink this all night. If somebody was pouring this and we were just sitting back outside by the campfire drinking,
Great whiskey.
I'd go through a bottle of this with a group of friends.
I'm going to give this to my nephew for his wedding.
There you go.
He loves Laphroaig.
That's a cheap gift.
I'm kidding. I'll give him something better. Anyway, those are our thoughts on the whiskey. I'd like to know what you guys think. Dustin, until next time, what do you wish the folks?
Happy smoky drinking.
And I'll get you something better than this, nephew. Come on. See you then.